We're live. Welcome back, guys. Logan stepped away for just a second. He's coming back. We have William again. Welcome back, William.
I'm here.
What's up, Jeff?
Long hair and everything today. Like it?
Yeah. Gotta get the real outdoor experience. Let it blow in the wind a little bit.
Let me see if some comments are rolling in, and then we'll get the workout started.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I'm around today. Take advantage of the quarantine.
Oh, you didn't have long hair before quarantine?
No, I was like all about the super tight on the sides. Actually, my hair at the start of the quarantine was like Logan's length, probably.
Wow, it has been that long, hasn't it? We need no facial hair, Jeff, back. Yeah, maybe. I didn't have facial hair before quarantine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For a while, I was just like, I'm just not going to shave anymore. And then after like a month, I was like, okay, I should probably do something because it's disgusting.
Oh, you always had this.
No, I didn't have this last year, or before the beginning of last year. All right, should we get the workout started? Oh, I dropped my phone.
Pause.
And off we go.
Jeff, is it cold in California? You're rocking the jacket.
It's gonna come off in a minute, but yes, it's been really cold lately. Not your cold, because you're, what was it, like Michigan or something? Is that Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Michigan cold. But
basically Canada at this point.
I'm a California native, so I'm pretty soft when it comes to like temperature swings. But I'd much rather prefer the cold than the hot. The hot, there's like nothing you can do, right?
Right.
It's just miserable. Like cold, you can just layer up and then you're okay.
You guys got some snow though. You got hit with it a little bit recently, huh?
Yeah, I mean not where I live, but
okay.
But yeah, in the mountains there was snow, and we had tons of rain for several days.
Oh jeez.
So we were
Is it gonna
talking.
be weird if I take my shirt off for this live stream?
Say it again.
Is it gonna be weird if I take my shirt off for this live stream, or should I go and get a shirt that I actually want to wear?
I'd have to mark it safe, safe for kids if you do
Oh,
that.
that's garbage.
We were talking just before going live about Logan's ramp test, and we were thinking about live streaming a ramp test. I don't know if that's the best idea, but
Just suffering.
yeah, but I think it would be interesting, and I think you guys would like it who are watching right now. So yeah, let us know if you want to see us suffer. So what I think the way it would work is like it would be like this for 15 minutes, and then we would go quiet for 5 minutes, and then we would come back to talking after that. So if you guys are fine with 5 minutes of radio silence of us just going, then let us know. And I think it'd be fun to live stream one. Why not?
Probably want to get the mics for that 5 minutes and like put some music over it.
Yeah, I'd have to figure out a way to do that. Take it off, Logan.
I can't do it. I want to.
What do full rest days nutrition look like? Do you guys eat more or less than a training day? I try not to overthink the like off the bike nutrition. Like what Jacob said in our last episode. Aim for 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Carbs, fat, and protein is what he said. And my trick, which I'll add on top of that, is like, don't go grocery shopping hungry. You'll make bad decisions at the grocery store.
Oh yeah.
And if you surround yourself with like actually wholesome food, then just eat until you're full. And then that's how much I eat on a rest day. Just like good food until I'm full. It really doesn't have to be complicated, you guys.
Also get a significant other who will talk you out of making bad eating decisions. I did a hour and a half endurance ride last night, and I ended up finishing at like 10 p.m. And I was like about ready to go smash a whole pizza, and my girlfriend talked me out of it. So
that's good too. The voice of reason. Getting some people saying that they'd like to see the ramp test live streamed. It'd be funny because like the whole point of it is to just go as hard as you possibly can until failure.
I wonder too if I would be more motivated knowing that, there's other people watching me. Like, I wonder if I would just get a higher FTP because of it.
Yeah, you might. I always perform better on race day with, I think, that same frame of mind. Like, oh, this matters. People are watching.
I saw a comment, Jeff. I don't know if I think it was on one of your videos, but somebody was like, I put on a NorCal cycling race and time it when I get to like the peak of the ramp test so that I'm more motivated to finish it out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to upload more full race videos without commentary, just like the whole thing, because I got a lot of people saying that they use it for their trainer rides, or they just like watching it even if there's not commentary, the whole thing. So yeah, when racing starts back up, I'll be doing more of that.
Looks like you gotta, how does a newer racer manage energy with how punchy Cat 5 races are?
Well, they're not any less punchy than like P1-2 races, for example. So this isn't a Cat 5 specific question, but I'll answer it for anybody. I mean, you have to practice the efforts that you're going to make on race day. So if you feel like they're way punchier than you're expecting, and that's killing you, then incorporate that in your training. So do more high intensity repeats, short duration, and you'll get used to it. It's funny, I did a ramp test. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks now, and I'm just now settling in to those new efforts. And you guys probably know, I've been doing this a long time. I know that William, you just retested, so you're probably experiencing this. And Logan, this is especially for you, who's new to this. When you guys retest and you have a new number, that's a benchmark for your future workouts. So like it's gonna be hard and you're gonna get frustrated. And I'm right there every single time with you. And that's the way it's designed. So like you retest, and that first workout after you retest, you're like, okay, cycling's not for me. Like, this is way too hard. And this should be an easy workout, and you get all those feelings of like self-doubt that come back. And you might lose some motivation because of it, but just remember, like, that's part of the design. Like, it should be hard, and you might fail a workout after you retest. You might fail 2 workouts, you might fail 5 workouts, but stick with it, and they will get easier. Like the second week after I retested, so like last week, I was like just getting back on top of the workouts and feeling like, okay, this is manageable again. And then this week, I'm like, they feel okay. They're still really hard, but they feel okay. And this is the nature of endurance training, you guys. It's small increments over time. And then I'll retest, and I'll have those same feelings of self-doubt again, but just remember to stay motivated. So Logan is going through, we're gonna talk about this in the next episode, but Logan's going through something right now, which is to be expected. He's tested, he's been training now for 2-3 solid weeks, and he's seeing huge improvements. So Logan is feeling like the workouts are easy, which is great news. And I advised Logan to up the workouts. In TrainerRoad, you can bump the percentage up a little bit, or you can retest ahead of schedule. We're gonna stick with the plan, and I'm just having Logan bump the percentage up a little bit so it feels difficult. But you're gonna experience this feeling once you retest of like, oh my God, this is so hard. But just remember to put your head down and power through it.
I actually have a question for you, Jeff, because I was experiencing this before I retested, where the workouts were feeling super easy. Would you just like you said for Logan, bump it on the specific workout, or even maybe like raise the FTP by like 5-10 watts just to make sure you're getting the full benefit? What would you recommend?
Well, it's the same. They accomplish the same thing. So if you raise your FTP, it's essentially bumping the percentage. So I would just bump the percentage because you can adjust that to see how you see fit. And like I said, alternatively, you can also retest. So if you're feeling like something's not right, you can retest, and then you should be able to be honed in on those workouts again.
And what I do is I start the workout off, and if it feels too easy, I watch my heart rate for the first 2 intervals or so, half the workout. And if it's just too easy, like I feel like it's too easy and my heart rate's kind of low, I'll just bump it to 110% for the last 2 intervals. But I don't start off making it harder because I feel like it's easy, because you never know what's going to come by the end of it.
Well, you want to bump it as early as possible. So you might not know the first interval, but if you know after the first interval that, hey, this is way easier than it should be, bump it up as soon as possible, because that's the design of the workouts. Like if you do the first 4 interval sets at way too low of an intensity, then you're not getting the adaptation that you want. Right? Like if you do the first 4 out of 5, way lower intensity than it's designed, and then you do the 5th one at like way above, you're not targeting what they are planning for you to target.
Yeah, speaking of bumping, I just bumped mine. So we're 10 minutes in, and I'm...
All right, let's start knocking out questions.
Retest. I guess the simple version is just retest. I maybe did a really long version of like just retest if you guys feel like the interval targets aren't sufficient.
Logan, this would be a good question for you, because I remember in one of the episodes you mentioned you came from football. Someone asked, what's it like going from a anaerobic sport like football to an endurance sport like cycling? Do you think it's like starting from square one to shift, or to a different type of muscle?
Yes. Yeah, the training is not as much fun in cycling as far as like indoor goes, because you're just sitting there, so like you have to have entertainment, or I do, to like get me through the hours. And it's a different kind of pain. Like I enjoy going in and hurting for like a max back squat or power clean or something like that. But this pain is so much different, to where like it's just gonna hurt less, but it's gonna hurt for a really long time. And you're gonna hurt like that for a while. So it's a different kind of like pain adaptation, or struggle adaptation, as opposed to like a power sport.
I've always thought, and maybe it's just because I am better, I'm more equipped for like the shorter, harder efforts, more of a sprinter, is like the short interval workouts have always been easier for me. So like if I'm doing 1 minute on, 1 minute off type efforts, those have always been fine with me. For me, the hard ones are the ones I do this time of year, which is like the 20-minute intervals at sweet spot, or 10-minute at FTP. Like those always are difficult for me, but those are the ones I work on most, because that's my weak spot. Okay. Do you train your sprint specifically? No. BMX training. It's a good name. I don't. I go do like Alviso and practice races when it's safe to do so, and that's how I get sprint training. But I work on my aerobic endurance as much as possible, because that's the weak link in the chain for me. I've never tried exo shoes. Sorry, I can't speak to that.
What's sick though?
What's a failed workout? Okay, yeah, I should have elaborated on this a little bit. I would said failed workout, but I guess I would define that as like you just can't do it as prescribed. So if you are in the middle of like the 3rd out of 4 intervals and you just can't get through it and you have to stop, that's a failed workout. Now, how to handle that is, yeah, you can backpedal, wait 30 seconds or a minute or whatever it takes, and I would still try to finish the workout, catch your breath, just add another break in there that the workout didn't call for by backpedaling, and then you can still finish the workout. Is there any point to having a high watt per kilogram sprint, or is raw watts the only thing that matters? That's an interesting question. I've talked about this in some of my videos, so I've thought a lot about it. So let me answer that one, Matthew, as quickly as possible. It is important to still be light, even as a sprinter. More than people realize. I think a lot of people who are new to the sport just think, I just want maximum watts if I'm a sprinter. And yeah, that's cool and all, but drafting is a thing. And as a sprinter, the end of a race, drafting is a big thing. It's the most important thing the faster you go. So if you are light and you uncork this big acceleration, well, you can distance yourself from the people behind you, and now they're not in your draft anymore. So just think about, what is it, Newton's third law, second law, and one of Newton's laws says F equals ma. So if you can lower your mass, you'll increase your acceleration. And that's huge in a sprint. Being able to just to accelerate away from people is huge in a sprint, because if the guy in front of you is real heavy but he can do 2,000 watts, he's not going to be able to accelerate really quickly. And if he's doing 2,000 watts, I can sit in his draft at 1,200 watts and come around him at the end. So yes, weight matters, even for sprinters. Logan, try to keep your upper body still, Tygo says.
I saw.
Now I'm really conscious of my upper body.
Like, I catch myself rocking, and I think that's part of the disadvantage of having entertainment as a newer cyclist, because you're not focused on like what your body's doing every second. So
you really are rocking quite a bit. Is it a fit problem? Because usually this means like your fit sucks.
I mean, I don't know yet. I feel good. I feel comfortable.
Okay.
I'm not shaking any more than I usually do. But I do. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we got, speaking of fit, we're working on content for bike fit stuff. I have Logan fit, but very informally. Logan's in Texas. I'm in California, so I can't exactly go to his house and get him fit, but we're working on that for a future episode.
How many bike fitters in Dallas? Let me know that are still fitting right now.
Power targets, do you think, are the minimum required before doing your first Cat 5? There are none. That's the kind of the definition of Cat 5. It's for people who are just starting in the sport. So I would suggest you go do a competitive group ride in your area, a skills clinic, or there's nothing to stop you from just diving into a Cat 5 race. But you should kind of have the fundamentals down. In terms of power requirements, you'll learn as you go. The fact that you know that power is a thing probably puts you ahead of most Cat 5 racers. Myself included when I was a Cat 5. I didn't even know power was a thing. William, you got a question?
Yeah, it was kind of a tack onto that. Someone asked, how many average hours weekly do you have to train to be a Cat 1, 2, 3 racer? But a lot of the things you're doing with Logan, it's whether or not you're being efficient with your time.
Yeah, it's hard to answer because there isn't like a set rule book, and I know people want there to be like a set number.
Just as a point of confidence, there's a TrainerRoad podcast, the Successful Athletes one, and that dude's 5 watts per kilo in one of them, and he trains low volume. So the answer is not much if you train. If your body is acts like that, I'm sure this guy's special, but
yeah, I probably do. I probably do on average like 8 hours, maybe 10 hours a week. But I make every point of TSS mean something, right? And there's no wasted. God, you know what? This whole thing about junk miles in zone 1, I got so much flack on that last video. Everyone's like, I didn't even think this was controversial. Like, don't go ride at zone 1 because, I mean, if you're having fun, awesome. Bike riding's about having fun, guys. The point of that episode was to talk about performance gains. So riding around at zone 1 isn't a good use of your time if you're after performance gains. And that was a controversial statement apparently. Everyone's like, yeah, zone 1, there's huge training adaptations. It's like, no, there's not. But I don't know. I mean, if you're doing double Everesting competition or one of these 24-hour races or something maybe, and you have 30 hours a week to train, then maybe you can spend more time in zone 1, but zone 1 is for, you know, rest, cool down, recovery, warm up, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I've found too that, you know, I'm in very similar situation to Logan, where I'm pretty much starting as a beginner, that whatever training plan that I can follow, that I can be consistent with, that's been the best training plan for me. You know, I just checked Strava. In the last 5 weeks, I've averaged 4.5 hours, which is, for me, a lot more than I was doing, which was 0. And a lot of it has been time well spent, and time that's been not in zone 1. And those rides suck most of the time, but I feel like I'm getting a lot stronger for it. And I think that's what you need to focus on, is what your goals are. If your goals are just to go out and ride and, you know, ride to a coffee shop and hang out with your friends, like, cool, man. But I think, you know, and Jeff has said this a million times, if you want to get faster, you got to make those miles count.
Totally. And at 4 hours a week, you just saw an enormous bump in your FTP.
Yeah, I went from, last time I tested 6 weeks ago was a measly 175, and now we're up to 215.
So, enormous gains. I don't know what that is in terms of percentage. That's like a 30% gain. To put that number in perspective, you guys, I will spend 8 to 10 hours a week of like very focused interval training throughout the base season, putting in 700 plus TSS per week, and I would be like stoked to see well, let me think. I'm trying to do quick math here. Like a 5% gain, 4% gain would be like amazing. So to see a 30% gain or whatever that is nuts.
Right.
Yeah, and how much training? You did a bunch of it in zone 1, right?
What?
You did a bunch of your training in zone 1. I'm just kidding.
all of it in zone 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of people just saying like, no, you should be doing a lot of intervals in zone 1. I'm like, dude, go for it. Like, I'll see you at the next race.
Someone says Chris Froome rides a fair bit in zone 1. Well, if I had Chris Froome's engine, I probably could get away with a little bit more zone 1.
He might be one of these people. Of course, he's training for Grand Tours.
Right.
And he's also probably training 30, 35 hours a week or something.
That's his job.
And it's not all in zone 1 either. Like, it's probably zone 1 in between really hard workouts, climbing hills and stuff. Like, guys, he doesn't go do zone 1 intervals or something like that. So just get that out of your head. It's not true.
And I don't know where y'all are at on the questions, but I found a good hard-hitting one.
Yeah, go for
What
it.
is the bigger disgrace to cycling?
Wait, who
Ankle
asked it?
socks.
Let's call out names.
Okay. Ethan Polianos. Which one is a bigger disgrace to cycling? Ankle socks or up to knee socks? Also, shorts down to the knees or up to your thigh. Way up your thigh.
Okay, the first one is easy. Ankle socks are no good. You can't do it, because then people will think you're a triathlete. Logan, you're cut, dude. Get out of here. No, wait, that one's barely acceptable.
Just lost a lot of friends right there. I just wanted y'all to know.
I guess there's no shame when it's on the trainer.
Yeah, inside rides are okay. Nobody can see.
I have 15 pairs of ankle socks. I only have 2 pairs of riding socks. I'm not going to wear them.
Okay, I'm gonna remedy that for you there, Logan.
Call the get a sock sponsor quick.
Okay, and then the other one is like the Tommy Voeckler, like basically booty shorts, versus the Nairo Quintana, all the way down to your knees. I would say down to your knees is more acceptable. Because Voeckler would like roll up his shorts. Like, it didn't make any sense. Nobody knows what Thomas Voeckler's doing half the time.
Here's another good question for you. Want me to keep going? This kind of relates to me as well. It was John Pacel. I'm in the process of losing weight and sweet spot base. I retested and FTP went up 4 watts while losing 10 pounds over 4 weeks. So sweet spot base, lost weight, 10 pounds, gained some FTP.
That's
Does
great.
he still expect FTP gains if he continues to drop weight?
Does he expect FTP gains if he continues to drop weight? Maybe. It sounds like so far he's doing well. I wouldn't expect that trend to continue. I would count that as a blessing so far that he's been able to manage both. But you will definitely reach a point where losing weight will result in performance loss. At a certain point, I don't know nothing about this person. Maybe he's got another 50 pounds he can lose. I don't know. But you reach a point of diminishing returns, just like anything else in life. And the question that he's going to be faced with is, what is his goal here? Like, is it to increase watts per kilogram no matter what? Because losing 10 pounds, doing a hard training block, losing 10 pounds but not seeing any performance gains, or maybe even seeing a drop in performance, still might be beneficial to his overall watts per kilo, if that makes sense. For a guy like me, I would rather add a couple of pounds but have a bump in power and keep my watts per kilogram, similar or equal, because of the style of racing that I like to do and the style of racing that I am competitive in. So I would say continue that trend, but it's a fine line to walk between weight loss and performance gains, like we discussed in our last episode. If you guys missed that, check that out. We get into that topic because I find that pretty fascinating. Got a good one, William?
No, someone's just saying had the same bottle. I was going to give him a fist bump in the chat.
I see people saying ankle socks are more chill, so suck that.
Back on the socks thing, someone says no socks is also acceptable.
No, it's not.
Oh.
Wiggins race, no socks.
That's for triathletes. Ankle socks and no socks are for triathletes.
Oh, this might be, someone said to do a video, but this might be an interesting question, Jeff. Any tips on sprint technique? And this is oh gosh.
No.
Alistair Tan.
Don't spam it.
Right.
Yeah, Alistair, good question. And yes, we are going to make a video about sprint technique. It's on the books where I'm kind of working about how I'm going to put it together. But I do want to talk about that because I see some pretty sloppy sprinting by people in all the footage that gets sent to me. So, I think big picture, it is not just your legs, guys. It is like it is your full body. Like, you want to use your arm muscles. You want to have everything going towards making your bike go forward faster. And we're going to talk about how to make that possible in a future video. What else we got? Sweet spot is dead. Okay. But we're all seeing huge gains at varying levels. William's kind of middle of the road. Logan's brand new. I've been doing this for over a decade. We're all seeing huge gains in sweet spot. So yeah. I don't think it's dead, Angus. Sorry.
Definitely not fun, though.
They're not fun. Yeah. Look, hard training is hard. Like, that's the nature of this sport. If it was easy, everyone would be fast.
What matters more?
Advise? I'll just tell you for a 3 to 4 hour endurance ride, what cadence do you advise? And that was asked by Tygo. Yeah, Tygo. When I get home, I will usually see an average of around 80. And I think that includes times I'm coasting. So I think when I'm pedaling, it's probably like 85 or something. But I think if you're anywhere from like the high 70s to about 100, high 90s maybe, that's like the acceptable range. And I think the science says there isn't necessarily a benefit to like focusing on really high or really low cadence. But so do what feels most comfortable. In a race, in a crit, I'm usually at 90 or 95. Not because I'm thinking about it and I'm looking at my computer, that's just where I'm at in a race. That feels comfortable in a race, and it allows me to accelerate faster because if your legs are already spun up pretty quick, you can respond to attacks much more rapidly.
I found too that since I'm a much shorter rider, like 5'4", especially if I'm trying to turn big power, if I'm not at like 95, it gets really challenging for me just being
Yeah.
at my height.
Yeah, higher cadence is better in those really critical moments in a race. You don't want to be stuck in a huge gear because the attack goes and then you're like doing that thing where you're just trying to turn over a massive one and it just never works. Intervals on outside rides is a great idea. Black Aries.
Buddy
I'm
asked
behind
for
here.
less talking heads and more training vlogs.
Say it again.
Somebody asked for less talking heads and more training vlogs. In the Couch to Crit series.
What's a training vlog? It's kind of what we're doing, isn't it?
I think it's more along the lines like what BC does. But I think the whole point of the first few episodes was to like talk to people that were knowledgeable about how to optimize your training, and that's what that was about.
Oh, Logan has a Stages power meter now.
Yeah.
Stoked on that. So we are going to do outside rides, and you guys are going to have to bug Logan in the comments if you're going to want vlogs, because I'm in California, he's in Texas, and he's going to have to do a vlog if he wants to, and I'll include it in the Couch to Crit videos. Fine by me.
Yeah, I think little vlog updates would be cool, Logan.
Yeah, Logan. I've been bugging him about this too, you guys. Vlog updates.
He's a busy guy. We get it.
Yeah.
Haven't done any of those.
How old are you guys? William, how old are you guys?
I'm 25.
That's 25. Logan doesn't want to talk anymore. I am 35. Shoot. I'll trade one of you guys. No core stability work or flexibility work. Henrik. Now that I'm 35, maybe that's on the agenda for me in the next couple of years, but I haven't really felt the need to do it. I can still ride in a really aggressive position, and I don't have any core issues. Don't feel uncomfortable even after a 100-mile ride. I'm fine. So far so good. And does it benefit your sprinting? You know, it might. I would say go out and do some sprint efforts, and then if you feel sore, then you know what you need to work on. What do you watch or listen to during indoor sweet spot training? We talked about this in another one, but I guess we'll do it one more time. For me, it depends on the intensity of the interval. So if it's a really difficult interval set, it'll be either music or nothing at all. If it's something like Pettit, like we're doing now, then I can watch a TV show. You know, reruns of Park and Recreation or The Office or something. Kind of makes the time pass a little bit easier when it's raining outside and you're doing indoor workouts.
I had some heavy metal music and rap going during my last ramp test, so
yeah,
it kind of depends.
Whatever motivates you.
I'm doing The Last Dance right now, which is awesome.
It's good. I watched the Queen's
ahead.
Gambit. Watched the Queen's Gambit during my last couple weeks of training.
Oh, that was good. I watched that too. Jeff, why are you so fast? 10 years of endurance workouts and racing my bike 30 times a year and just a ton of work on the bike. But I could have been faster at this point if I could go back in time and do things better. I didn't train with power. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have structure. There were all these things I could have done so much better earlier on that probably the first 5 years of me trying to develop as an athlete were like so bad. Not totally wasted, but like, man, inefficient.
Lots of zone 1.
I was doing a lot of zone 1 intervals back then. And despite what you guys say online, they don't make you that fast.
Oh, someone was asking.
Yeah, we do polarized training. That's what we do.
Someone was asking about the Couch to Crit intro.
Yeah.
How you made that.
I hired somebody to make it. That's how I made it.
It's a good intro.
Thank you. Yeah, I hired somebody to make that. I am super interested. I do the editing and everything else myself, but yeah, like graphics in motion is not something that it's not a new skill that I wanted to pick up, and I could throw somebody a bone and hire that out.
Song picked by me. Yeah, buddy, that's all I contributed.
Oh, this is a good question. Edvin Martinson, do you shift when sprinting? You know, it's a good question. And I did this really long post in the TrainerRoad forum about this probably a year ago, a year and a half ago, where I like really got into it because you can break down when you're required to shift and when you're not. And here's the Cliff's Notes. No, I don't most of the time, because the lead out in a race is usually so fast that I'm already in my biggest gear or my second biggest gear. And my sprint goes from like, 95 or 100 cadence up to like 115 or 120. And it doesn't require me to shift. But there are situations when you do have to shift. And the most common example of that is if you're in a breakaway. The lead out speed is not very fast because it's a breakaway. So there's usually some games that are being played in the end. So you will have to shift. And it can be tricky if you're not used to it because it's hard to shift under load. Electronic shifting makes this easier. But what I'll usually do is I will do my jump, my big acceleration like we were talking about earlier. It's so important to be in the right gear for that initial jump because you want to get separation. Once you establish separation, sit down, shift, maybe shift twice if you need to, if you're spun up to 120 already, shift twice, and then I stand up again. And I just try to keep that gear turning and keep that speed where it's at and prevent the guys from getting into my draft and coming around me. So 9 times out of 10, it's a field sprint and I am not shifting, but occasionally I am, and that's my tip for sprinting when you're for shifting when you're sprinting. Sorry.
Kyle asked, and I think I saw this earlier, might have been him or someone else, thoughts on training with a Peloton. Would switch to Zwift if I could, but girlfriend loves Peloton. We can't have both. Possibly used with training peaks. Peloton's interesting. I personally would rather buy a cheap trainer, a speed sensor, and have a bike to ride outside. One of my best friends from college, he just did the same thing, and he, doesn't really ride bikes too much, but it's an easy way for him to ride indoors and still get a good workout. Peloton's expensive for what it is. You could get a pretty decent road bike, a cheap trainer, and then you can ride outside, but I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on the Peloton?
I've seen them. I've never tried one.
I like to be able to ride outside.
Right.
He said he already has a Peloton though, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said he can't swing both, and his girlfriend likes the Peloton. So I hate to say it, but you're going to have a Peloton.
You don't have to spend, if you already have a bike, if you don't have a bike, that's something different. But if you already have a bike, just get a dumb trainer, right? They have smart trainers. I guess the opposite would be a dumb trainer. And use estimated power, and then you can still hit intervals with that. It won't be the most sophisticated tool, but it's fine for starting out. Estimated power is great, even on TrainerRoad. And people will hate you on Zwift, but you can you can still do it on Zwift.
Cuts out all the variables, so it's pretty accurate, the virtual power.
Totally. Virtual power, yeah. What is the best workout to improve recovery after a big effort? Audie Murphy 677 asks. For me, it's not working out is the best recovery. You can go do zone 1, I suppose, if you want. I wouldn't. If you do, just do it for like 30 minutes. Guys, we need to. Recovery is recovery. This one's been talked about a lot. If you guys haven't heard of this one, it's like. In terms of when you're speaking about recovery, if you're standing and you can sit, you should be sitting. If you're sitting and you can lay down, you should be laying down. That's the standard for recovery. So don't get on the bike. If you just did a 100-mile ride and you're like totally wiped the next day, just recover, guys. That's where you're gonna make gains. If you just try to like soldier on, you're gonna burn out and you're not gonna see improvements. At least not as fast as if you were to recover properly. Remember, there's no such thing as overtraining, only under-recovering.
That was a good question asked a while ago that kind of was brought up again. What matters more in a crit, high watt per kilo or FTP? Flat crit.
High watt per kilo or raw power. Flat crit, okay. So flat crit but highly technical is totally different than flat crit with long sweeping turns. Flat crit with long sweeping turns, probably raw power is most important, because there's going to be very little accelerations that are required, and then you're going to struggle. You have to time your sprint really well, because like we talked about earlier, weight matters in a sprint. In a really technical criterium, we have a couple of those. Well, we have more than a couple. We have a bunch of those on our calendar here in NorCal that are really technical, hairpin, short, really sharp corners where you're having to squeeze a bunch of brakes, slow down almost to a stop, and then re-accelerate. Big riders just get dropped within like a couple of laps. It's hilarious how much weight makes a difference. That's where guys like Caleb Ewan really excel, because he's so light. He's like both, right? He's like tons of raw power, also really light. So yeah, it kind of depends on the nature of the course, but in summary, if it's hilly or technical, weight matters more. If it's flat with really long sweeping corners with little to no accelerations, raw power wins. Stephen Meyer says, some say Logan will be the Michael Jordan of bike racing. I think so. Recommend for weight loss, go ride your bike more. Try not to cut. Hire a nutritionist, or dietitian, don't cut calories when you're riding your bike. Fuel for your rides. Think about sensible nutrition choices when you're off the bike, but fuel your rides.
Just like stop snacking, stop eating dessert. Don't eat your snacks in the middle of the day that aren't good for you. I feel like it's mostly nutrition if you're working out.
Don't drink calories. Again, when you're off the bike. On the bike, go nuts with carbs. If you missed the last episode, that's what we talked about. But off the bike, you shouldn't be drinking carbs. I think that's a good rule of thumb. So sodas, juices, and things like that off the bike are a bad idea.
You guys said this last episode, but you're already operating in a deficit. So
yes.
If you're riding your bike, you're going to lose weight. But, if you're stuffing your face like I wanted to yesterday with pizza and aren't making sensible choices nutrition-wise, then probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm doing 241 watts. I'm burning more than double, like 2.5 times the calories that I'm able to take in. So I'm dipping into stores already. 100 watts is about the break-even point. We're using some approximations here, but it's about 100 watts sustained is about the same rate that you're burning calories on the bike. So it's a losing game. So fuel your rides.
I can answer this real quick. Somebody asked me how long I've been cycling for. Serious training, the last probably 6 weeks or so, but when all the stuff hit and there was quarantine, I was riding, on and off in the summer. So it's been probably the last 6 to 8 months, pretty on and off inconsistently. And
then you had consistent training recently, right?
Yeah, last 6 have been pretty consistent.
So consistency's king.
Yep.
Huge gains, like we talked about. If you guys missed it, he had like a 35% increase in performance through one training block because of consistency, following a TrainerRoad plan. We got a couple of interesting questions here. Did I lose them? Here they are. Can you explain sad climbing as one of them? I made a video about sad climbing. It was a rainy race from 2 years ago. But basically, if you're not a good climber like me, and it's a climby race and you don't want to get dropped, there's a trick you can use called sad climbing. The one caveat is you have to be good at navigating the field, which I consider myself pretty good at. If you're able to work your way to the front of the race efficiently, then do that. That's step one. Time it to where you're near the front of the race at the bottom of the climb. And then just ride your threshold, your number that is sustainable. And then by the time you get to the top of the climb, you've moved from the front of the field to the back of the field, but you haven't blown yourself up in the process. So you've given yourself that buffer. And yeah, the climbers can go nuts, but as long as the climb isn't like Alpe d'Huez or something crazy, then you know the difference in time from going to the front of the back of the field offsets the difference in fitness between you and the climbers. So cool little trick that I use as often as possible.
Somebody in Grapevine told me to go right outside today. Grapevine's like right here in Dallas. I'm getting the power meter put on the bike today, so.
Oh yeah?
I won't have it for the next couple days.
Nice. Can you ever have too much carbs before a ride? Yes, you can. And I think it's important to experience that because you'll get GI distress. You'll feel bloated. You might have an upset stomach, and that's how you know you've had too many. But everyone's different. Some people can only take in 40, especially if you're new to the sport. 40 grams of carbs per hour, that is. Some people can take in 100. But you don't want to be under fueling because that you'll be underperforming. That was Elliot, sorry, I haven't been calling names out. And Stefan Meyer asked about sad climbing. Kyle is asking the same question again about Peloton. Get a cheap bike and a cheap trainer if you don't want to use Peloton. Give yourself the opportunity to do consistent training. Temeka Bell, any thoughts on Zwift racing? I just saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I have thoughts.
Strong opinions on this one.
I have strong opinions because I ventured into Zwift world last year after the pandemic hit. I had a couple of actual races under my belt. My fitness was looking really good. And then the races were canceled because of pandemic. And I was like, what do I do with all this fitness? I'll go smash Zwift. So I started racing Zwift and I had to realize that pretty quickly, I'm not as fast as I thought I was, number one. And also, it's just a different sport. I know they try to make it as similar as possible. That's kind of their goal. But they should really just adopt the fact that, you know, bike racing is one thing and Zwift racing is something similar but different. So the best example I can give of that is like, do you guys know who won the Zwift World Championships? No.
Nope.
Do you know anybody in the top 10 who won Zwift World Championships? Do you know anybody? Do you know anybody who's ever won the Tour de France? You could probably name a lot of professional bike racers, right? So they're not the same people. Like it's a different sport. Some people might be good at both. I suspect climbers and time trialists are good at both, but it kind of strips away Zwift strips away the drafting element. I know that there's drafting in Zwift, but it's not the same. And the positioning element, and I've built a cycling career, if you want to call it that, on being good at those things. So it was frustrating for me to go into that realizing, oh, the only thing that I really excel at in this sport has been taken away in Zwift. So it's a little bit frustrating. And you could say the opposite for somebody who's a great time trialist or climber. Is like, oh, Zwift is fantastic. You know, I could just sit like this. I don't even have to look at the screen. I don't care about what's going on in front of me. lock it into my power zone, and then win. So it's good motivation for training. If you're lacking motivation, I find setting, target FTP numbers, target TSS numbers for the week is plenty motivation for me, and I like the consistency and the gains I see on TrainerRoad. That's a personal opinion.
I want to highlight, somebody said, let me get the name. Randy Brown said, important, use a strong fan inside while training. And that is all the difference in the world.
Yep.
When it comes to being able to work hard inside.
You guys got those the Lasco fans?
Yeah, I had 2 of them.
Nice.
2 of them on 3 all the time, even when it's cold out. I just get blasted.
Yeah, see, I got the window cracked a little bit. It's like 19 degrees outside. Feels great here.
Tate Christensen, would you also do up to 100 grams of carbs an hour if out for a long zone 2 ride? Seems excessive. I know it seems excessive. It's not. This is such a big misconception, and I want to squash this. If you missed the last video, we talked a lot about this. I'll recap. Even in zone 2, guys, 100 watts. 100 watts, you're already operating at a deficit. So you're burning way more calories than you think. And if you're concerned that you're gaining weight on the bike, you're not. Every time you're on the bike and you're doing anything more than 100 watts, I would say, which should be every time you're on the bike, then yes, as many carbs as possible. You will find that you'll go faster and it will feel easier. It's magic.
Jeff, somebody asked about a rocker plate for Zwift races.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I haven't tried it. A lot of people suggested it after I made a video about Zwift racing and just indoor workouts in general. And I haven't tried it. I suggested that I should try it. I never followed up. Some people swear by it. Other people say it's even worse than no rocker plate. It feels even more awkward. But I'm just stuck on the trainer now, and I'm not doing Zwift races, and I feel great.
Oh, I can answer this one. Elliot asked, have you ever done the 4-week FTP booster on Zwift, and what was your thoughts on it? It's actually the plan I just came from before I switched to the TrainerRoad plan builder, per Logan's suggestion, which is awesome. By the way, the plan builder is really, really nice just to have all your workouts scheduled until, months in advance. But the Zwift stuff is fine. The thing that I like more about TrainerRoad than the Zwift plans is that TrainerRoad can adapt to your goals. In Zwift, you just get the prescribed plan, and you just kind of hope that you are doing a plan that's going to help. I mean, it's going to help because it's consistent training, but I think you're going to get a better result with TrainerRoad, for me personally.
Yeah, it adapts. I think you hit the nail on the head. It adapts to your training. So if you start Plan Builder and TrainerRoad, it looks at what you've done, it looks at what you're going to do, and then it looks at your long-term goals, and it makes adjustments along the way. If you miss a workout, it makes an adjustment. So it's like autopilot. It's a virtual coach. That's the way I've said it. Coaches are expensive. TrainerRoad is not. So if you're looking for if you're looking for hitting a target event, Plan Builder is kind of a no-brainer. Otherwise, you're kind of flying blind, especially if you're new to the sport and you don't really understand this balance between workout and recovery, which is an important balance to strike. What else we got? Highlight CX cycling. Jeff, what's your FTP and in watts per kilogram? We're going to retest here in a couple of weeks. We didn't get much feedback. I guess we're going to retest. Let us know in the comments, guys. Do you want to see us suffer in a ramp test? We'll do it for the internet. But I tested 3 weeks ago or so, and I was pretty happy to see 3:45, which is not anything to write home about, but it's pretty good for me, a sprinter this time of year. And in watts per kilogram, I don't know, I'm like 73-ish kilograms. So it's high 4s. I might be able to hit 5, we'll see. That would be pretty cool.
Somebody asked about power meter versus, like, which one do you use on the trainer, your power meter or the smart trainer power?
Oh, I use it doesn't matter which one. I use the smart trainer power because it won't run out of batteries. So I'm kind of spoiled. This bike also has a power meter in the crank, but I use the one from the power meter itself, from the trainer itself, because yeah, like I said, I don't have to worry about it running out of batteries. And this bike doesn't come off the trainer unless I'm riding my daughter around the neighborhood. Then this bike comes off the trainer, but I don't go do workouts on this bike. I have another bike I use for that. So yeah, they're different power meters, but it doesn't matter that much.
TrainerRoad has power match also, so they'll match them up.
Oh, cool. There you go. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, that I didn't know. I'm actually using my power meter, but I have a kicker snap, and I mentioned that last time. And you have to do that stupid spin down calibration thing to make sure that the trainer power is accurate, because if the tire pressure is not right, the resistance on the wheel and everything. So I go with the trainer resistance being controlled by the power meter. So I hook that up through Amp Plus in the Wahoo app. And then so when TrainerRoad connects to my power meter and trainer, it's all running off or on that. It's a little more jagged, so if you watch my power compared to these two guys, it's like a little bit more all over the place. But I find it's just a lot easier to hop on the trainer and not worry about having to ride for 10 minutes to calibrate it.
You might not have your power smoothing on the same as us either. Your power smoothing may be like 3 seconds versus 5 seconds. So that could be jagged too.
Yeah, so with power meters, I think it's the most important thing is you don't have to have the most accurate power meter. You have to have a precise power meter, meaning it can replicate itself. So even if it's consistently 10% off, the point of the power meter is to compare your efforts to your previous efforts. So as long as it's consistent against itself, that's the most important part for training adaptations.
Absolutely.
But you might not be able to compare power numbers with your friends is the only problem. If it's actually 10% off, it might be throwing your brain for a loop.
Better 10% high than 10% low for your ego.
Yeah, right? Yeah, people want retests. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to do it.
Oh, geez.
I'm nervous. It's we're not gonna do it for probably 2 to 3 weeks, you guys, but I'm already nervous about it. And there was a question earlier, I'm just going to touch on really fast. I may have lost it. Oh, from the Tommy, 86, asking about commentary on crit videos. Trust me, guys, I'm chomping at the bit to get back into that. And I'm going to make more of them. I have more of them that just came in. Some foreshadowing here, some more Dutch races from my European correspondent, Glenn. Excited to get to those pretty soon. And I do have some more on the back burner. But guys, I miss it just as much as you do, both racing myself and doing the race commentary. And I haven't forgotten about those. They're coming. As we see pandemic numbers coming down, good news on the horizon with the vaccine, I'm hopeful that we're all back to racing and back to normal life soon. Sorry, did you see one, William, that looked good?
Yeah, it was someone was asking about, it was JBay1231 asked, typically dual-sided power meter versus single-sided. I run single-sided. I think, Logan, you just got your dual-sided. The single was all I could afford. It was $250 versus, $500-600. So get what you can afford for now. Obviously, dual-sided is nicer because you get the dual-sided power and it might be a little bit more accurate. But just like what Jeff said previously, as long as the power you're getting is consistent and you can see get consistent numbers, that's going to be more important.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Get the one you can afford, I think, is the bottom line. I'll just add the benefit of the dual sided. The reason we went with the dual sided is it will be able to tell things like a discrepancy between your left and right power. So it could be you could diagnose a fit issue, a leg length discrepancy, and then you can also diagnose sprint form, which is something we're going to be doing. If you're seeing weird anomalous data left to right during your sprint, you know that you have some weird tendency during your sprint that you might be able to be fixed.
I also run 165 cranks, and they're impossible to find dual-sided.
Oh yeah, 165 short. Crank length is a whole can of worms, man. I've been 172.5 forever just because that was my first bike, and I just run 172.5. But like, I had a teammate who was a sports physio, PhD guy who like knew a lot about this, way more than I do. And he's a bigger guy, and he ran 165 cranks. And he had some really, I'm not gonna be able to replicate, he had some really compelling reason why. And if nothing else, this is one thing that people don't often talk about, which is if you run shorter cranks, you can corner harder in a crit and pedal through corners in a crit harder without skipping a pedal. Which is like, I don't know why people don't talk about that more. I've considered going to 165, but I'd have to switch it on all my bikes. And lazy. Your TrainerRoad link doesn't work. Oh, sorry, JR, let me fix that. If you go back to a Couch to Crit video, I fixed it there. So if you're chomping at the bit, JR, to look at my data on TrainerRoad, go back to one of the Couch to Crit videos. I'll update it on the live stream after we get off this ride.
Oh man, we're almost done. That was quick.
Yeah.
That was
Do you think used bike prices will drop anytime soon? Everything is so pricey. No, I don't think they will. Sorry, there's a huge shortage in the bike industry in general right now. So the used market is hugely inflated as a result. So once manufacturing goes back up, we'll see all prices drop. But by talking with manufacturers, it seems like not for a couple of months at least is that going to happen. What's acceptable range for leg imbalances when it comes to power? Well, you want it to be nothing. You want it to be 50-50. We're going to get into that in more detail in a future video. I don't think it's not going to be the next one. It'll be maybe the one after next. Recommend for weight loss, high intensity short rides or low intensity longer rides? I would lean towards the low intensity longer rides because they are going to be more fat adapted. But in either case, dude, be careful because it's a fine line to walk between, like, it's hard. You can't have both. It's like pick one. Do you want performance increase or do you want weight loss? Because you can't focus completely on both.
somebody got it right. I mean, weight loss is 80% nutrition.
Make good decisions when you're at Trader Joe's. Don't go hungry.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more.
Logan, they want your their social medias, man.
On my social. So maybe I should re-download it all. I went social media free about halfway through COVID. So I haven't done anything on social media like Instagram, Twitter. It's really just those two. In 5 months. So, I mean, you can find me. My name's Logan McPherson. But I don't know. Like I never posted very much anyway. That's why I got off of it. But you can find me. You can follow me. Feel free to. If you want to follow the rides and stuff, TrainerRoad, Strava, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we have your TrainerRoad linked in all of our videos. So if you want to look at, if you want to track his workouts, and if you want to follow along, totally encourage that. And we're seeing huge gains already. So I'm excited to see how that works out.
Make a cycling Instagram. I'll do that. How about that?
Be cool. Elliot, my watts per kilo is like, I think on TrainerRoad it says 3.4. I'm a pretty small guy, so it doesn't take much. I think I'm like 63 kilograms.
And that's plenty to sit in the draft in even a P12 race. Like that's impressive for just starting out.
Shit.
Peak power all time. I'd never go out. I never go out and just do a sprint like fresh, just for the sake of doing a sprint. So all of my numbers come at like the end of a race. All of my peak power numbers come at the end of the race, and it's like I don't think I've ever broke 1600. It's like high 1500s. But usually what I can do at like the end of a hard crit is kind of like the high 13s, low 14s range for a few seconds, and then I can hold it at around 1200. And that's usually where I'm at the end of a crit, realistically.
I want to see 1600, so go try it.
Maybe, yeah. It might be cool just to go out and like warm up and then just do like a proper like all-out sprint. I think the second one, you know what's interesting? I think the second one is always better than the first one.
I mean, it's probably not going to be useful information because you're never actually going to be able to sprint like that fresh, but that'd be fun to know.
Yeah.
Someone says they're thinking about the plunge to get a power meter, and if you follow Jeff's link in his description, like a 15% discount on the stages, I use that. It's a nice discount, makes stomaching the price a little bit better.
Or maybe 20%.
I think it was. Yeah, didn't I say it was? I think it was 20.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, they told me it was 15, but William got 20. So go down there and see. It might be 20, which is awesome. But at least 15. So yeah, if you follow the link. And I think they just got more in stock too. So you can get a one-sided stages if you follow the link down below for cheap. Like I'm gonna get into this in this next episode we're working on, Logan and I. But that's one of my biggest regrets is not getting a power meter sooner. Logan peaced out.
Nope.
Or did I just lose him?
I think we just lost him for a second.
Okay. But I just wish I got one earlier. So if you're thinking about getting a power meter, I'd say forego the carbon wheels or the high-end group set or whatever, and get the power meter instead. It'll do you much better.
I want to answer this one. Road shoes versus mountain bike. Little known fact. I'm actually using mountain bike pedals and shoes.
Oh, really?
Because, and again, I started cycling out in the summer. I valued walking a little bit more, just, and not, bust my butt, especially and I was new to clipless. So, if you're just starting out, just doing like, rides around town, and you're not looking for performance, probably, mountain bike's going to be fine, but I'm going to be looking to switch to road pedals and shoes. But I want to be able to get a fit for a cleat position. That's my only thing, because I think my cleat position's not great right now.
That's a big one. That one can mess up your knees and joints and stuff if you don't have the cleat position correct. All right. Are there any last-minute burning questions? How do you suggest getting into racing as a junior? Do a training series. That's what I did. I wasn't a junior, but that's when I first started. I did a training series, and that was the best thing ever. These guys are just starting out, so I think they're both Cat 5. I know Logan is. William, Cat 5?
Yeah, looking to do a training series in the summer to hopefully go to Cat 4.
Yeah, this is Highlight CX Cycling asks, which cat are you guys in? And then I'm Cat 1. I've been doing this sport. I've been in this sport a lot longer. By the power numbers, both these guys are going to be racing P12 in no time. Sexy Stud Muffin. I didn't even read the question. I just wanted to read his username. Does the bodybuilding concept of bulking and cutting apply to cycling training? I would expect nothing less from Sexy Stud Muffin to ask about bodybuilding. Bulking and cutting apply to cycling training. No, it's not like, I wouldn't think of it as bulking and cutting. I would think about it as building fatigue and then cutting fatigue, if that makes sense. So what you do is this is the nature of periodization, is you build up a bunch of fatigue. So your performance probably is slowly decreasing, and then when you take a rest week, you bring all that fatigue escapes, and you have all the fitness that remains, and then you're primed for your A race. So in a way, yes, it's the same concept. Nick's in here. I've got a ramp test on February 16th. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, William.
No, that's right. I was just going to say, someone asked for my social. I just put in the chat, you can search my name. I just didn't feel like spelling it on stream.
Oh, cool. Good call. No, I just saw my buddy Nick. Nick said he's got a ramp test on February 16th. Misery loves company. They're so painful. They're so painful. Oh, there was a question earlier that I forgot to get to. I'm sorry, whoever it was that asked. I'll answer it now. I don't remember your name, but about a one-by. And I wanted to touch that. And we'll finish with that, I guess, because...
I want to know the answer to that.
You do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I want to know the
Oh,
answer.
you want to know? I thought you said you have the answer. I was like, yes.
I think I know the answer, but I want to hear what you say.
It's such a cool idea, and I am privileged to have like several bikes, and I've considered the idea of making one of my bikes a 1x setup because it's novel, right? It's not practical, but it's novel and it's cool to not have to worry about a front derailleur. And if you have anything steeper than like 5 or 6%, you're gonna be kicking yourself for doing it because you don't want to put the big dinner plate cassette on there. So my idea was to make like a crit bike that I could use just for crits and have it 1x, which is
As an
cool,
example,
but not practical.
Pete and Cliff Bar, he ran a 1x during their season, so he's done it at a very high level, and so it's doable for sure.
Yeah, all those guys did.
They race flat crits.
Yeah, on their vinyl bikes. I remember seeing that at the first race in the 2018 season, I think, and I remember seeing all of their. They had those big like 36 tooth cassettes in the back. So yeah, it's cool. I would say if you live in Dallas, maybe it's a good idea because there's no hills in Dallas, right?
And if you live in Michigan,
Our local crit actually does have somewhat of a uphill and a downhill. I don't know how steep it actually is, but
you wouldn't need a small ring for it. But I'm thinking for training rides is where you'd want it. Like on SRAM, it has really amazing gearing if you're into climbing, and there's some really steep climbs around here. And I use it's like a 36-34. It's almost a 1-to-1. It's a monster gear, or maybe a 36-32 or something. But it's a big gear that I use regularly. All right. I know there's more questions.
The power meter put on the bike.
Yeah, that's another issue too. Is like power meter. So we'll close this one out, and we'll see you guys next week. William, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Logan.
Catch you guys later.
See y'all.
All right.
I like how